We are live. Hello, Facebook. I'm here with Sarah, and we are going to be talking today about number one, how we live our life with purpose, and number two, women's money mindset, which is something that isn't really talked about that often. So before we start, I'm just going to tell you briefly a little bit about my life coaching, and then I'm going to have Sarah take over. So I run a life coaching business, and I help women rediscover their value and their worth and help them reclaim the joy and the confidence and the courage in their life, and also help them refine their life into exactly the way they want it to be. So what better way than to talk with my friends such as Sarah, who help women and men, everyone, work with their money. And so Sarah, tell me about yourself and what you do.
All right. So thank you for having me, Tabitha. I'm really excited. It's my first live event. My name is Trenchard. I am the president and founder of Armin Financial and Insurance Solutions. So what I do is I help families, individuals, and business owners with their finances, make sure that they are building a solid foundation and making sure that they're reaching all of their financial goals to ultimately reach retirement, which is what we're all trying to get to. So that's what I do for a living. What else did you want me to share?
That is awesome. So tell me a couple unique things about yourself.
Oh gosh, I wasn't prepared for that one.
Okay, tell me about something that's upcoming for you.
Oh, okay, upcoming. So I'm currently in the middle of planning a wedding coming up in a few months. So it's definitely interesting in these times. And a lot of financial things come up during wedding planning too. So that's what's big on my mind these days.
Absolutely. So tell me let's start off with how you're living your life with purpose right now. And then I want to jump into women's money mindset. So we're kind of COVID, you run a business, you're planning this amazing wedding. You've got a lot on your plate. Like, what are you doing for yourself? How do you live your life with purpose?
Yeah, that's such an interesting question because you think of purpose and then you think of what is my purpose and then how do I live that way? So I really put some thought into it. And I think one of the biggest things is making sure that you're taking care of yourself. Um, living a vulnerable and authentic life is really important. So knowing yourself, knowing what your needs are, what triggers you, and then making sure that you are taking care of yourself and being honest about certain things that work or don't work for you. But also a purposeful life is, having a meaningful life and doing things that have meaning to you and make a difference. And I think we are all designed, our purpose is to utilize our God-given rights, our God-given skills, and to give back to others in whatever that form or fashion is. And so there's many ways to give back, but I try to do that as much as I can. Right now, with everything going on, I'm trying to implement my mornings. So I spend time in the morning, usually before anyone else gets up, and really focus on my meditation, prayers, reading, and just developing myself. And just you'll be surprised at a little bit of quiet time to yourself in the morning before anyone's awake. That's very key. It's very healthy, and you just feel so much better about your day. So that's one of the ways that I'm doing that now.
I couldn't agree with you more. I love that. And did we talk about that you read Morning Miracle too?
Yes, that's what I was going to talk about. So I love this book.
There you go. Yes.
And I am reading right now. I'm reading the relationship version, which is really fantastic. Yeah.
I didn't know they had that version. That's awesome. And it's called Miracle Morning, not Morning Miracle.
Yeah, Miracle Morning
by Hal,
I always forget it. Hal Elrod.
Elrod. Yes.
Really great.
Amazing. It is crazy how our brain just like thrives in this morning time. And I know a lot of people say, I'm not a morning person, but man, if you can, create that in your life, it's so helpful.
It is. And it's not 100%. I mean, I used to be very, very good at it when it was just me. Yeah. But integrating other people into my life, have other distractions. And so, I've had to adjust, and I try not to beat myself up too much if it's not every day, or if it's not the same time every day, but at least it's something to strive for.
Absolutely. Such a great suggestion. So, if you're just tuning in, Sarah was recommending taking time in the morning just to live your life with purpose and to focus and meditate, pray, focus on what it is your God given talents are and use them. So, one of your God given talents is working with people and their finances. So, I would love to dive into women's money mindset. So, from your experience of working with women, what do you think some of the struggles are with women and their mindset towards money?
Yeah, it's such an interesting topic. There's so many levels to it. And honestly, I'm surprised that there's not more books out there talking about this. One of the biggest things is women are controlling over half of the nation's wealth right now. We are making more money than we used to. And then we're projected to have over 66% of control of the nation's wealth by 2030. So we're out there and we're making moves. There's also 25% of households are run by women breadwinners. So the married women that are making more money than their spouse.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we're making more money, but we're still have the same statistics of, not being comfortable with money, not being comfortable with being prepared for the future. So the question is why? And as a woman myself, I ask myself the same questions too. And I think there's a level of fear. I think with women, we tend to not take action until we have all the facts, until we feel confident and we know everything.
Yes.
There's a saying or a statistic or something about the men usually take the promotions more than women do, because we say, well, I'm not ready, or maybe I'm not qualified. And men will just say yes and figure it out later. So I think that is one of the things that holds us back is maybe lack of education, lack of knowledge. But the other part is interesting is that there's tons of women out there that they say statistically they don't feel prepared and they want more education. But what's happening is they're not seeking it and they're not willing to share that openly. And that's an ego thing. Maybe it's a confidence thing that we're afraid to share that we don't understand everything, or we don't know, I don't understand my 401k. But my role is I'm really trying to figure out a way to make women feel more confident, comfortable asking these questions.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think what helps is knowing that they're not alone.
Right? So we are saying to everyone watching, you are not alone. If you are a woman and you're like, money, let's just not talk about it. I'd rather just put things on auto pay and not look at my, bank accounts, or my husband's got it figured out. We are encouraging you to take this step, that uncomfortable step, to learn it yourself so it's not such an uncomfortable feeling. And Sarah and I will actually be able to send you some resources to kind of help with that money mindset. If you write an aha moment, something that just jumped out at you with what we're talking about, we'd love for you to post that in the comments, and we'll reach out to you with those free resources. So Sarah, tell me more about what it is that you want to do to work with women to help with their mindset, and even maybe just sharing your story that we talked about earlier on what you experienced too would be really helpful.
Yeah, so my goal is to really make women feel comfortable in reaching out and asking for help. Knowing that they're not alone. And I'm also known for explaining things very simply. That's how I taught myself. That's how I got into the business. I used to, I still do it, but draw things out to better understand it and make it very simple.
Yes.
I have an Easter basket concept that I share. So I want women to feel comfortable and to feel that they can ask questions and not be worried of judgment or, someone looking down on them, because we're not taught this stuff. Okay. You have to seek this information. So the other thing too, avoidance, right? Sometimes we'll avoid certain things we don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times it's around money. So one of the biggest things is really understanding how you feel about money and why, and where is that coming from? A lot of the time it's how we were raised, or the information that we were provided at a young age, or how our parents handled money. And I have two totally different types of parents. So everyone has a different story when it comes to money.
So
Um, yeah. So for me, I'm a high performer, so I have high anxiety and I push myself and I want to be the best. And so I also get anxious about money sometimes.
true.
So I was sharing a story earlier with Tabitha is yesterday I'm working on a new hobby and I needed some foam footballs. And I'm going to cut them and stuff. So I don't want to spend a lot of money on it. And I was told that I could find them at the dollar store. So I ended up going to a different store, grab the footballs, go to checkout, assuming they're going to be $1. I said, how much are these? And they said $5. And I was like, I don't know if I want to spend $10 on two footballs that I'm going to cut up. But for some reason, I said, okay, I went ahead and just bought them, knowing I'm probably going to return them. And I literally got in the car and said, okay, I'm going to come back and return these. I don't know why I didn't turn around and return them or just stop and say, yeah, I'm not willing. But there's something interesting about that.
Yep.
I think it's also tied into like buyer's remorse. And I think we're influenced and always worried about whatever other people might be thinking. And it could be a subconscious emotion. But I think for me, that was at the moment, I didn't want the lady to have to, return something or inconvenience her. I didn't want her to think that I was being cheap, but why do I even care? So there's something like that could be coming from somewhere else. So it's interesting, to know yourself and know how you are. If you need more time to make decisions, which I do, I have to research and I have to understand everything before I can make a big financial decision. But
So
I know that about myself. And so the more you know about yourself, you can put that out there and you can share that with, like, if you're going to meet with a financial advisor, share with them, I need to understand it. I need you to talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old. They're willing to help you. The right ones are willing to help you in the way that you need help.
absolutely, and not make you feel dumb at all. And I know from my husband and I's financial advisor, he is like completely willing to just talk with me. Because sometimes with Stephen being in the financial industry, I'm like, maybe he thinks I should know this. And I kind of need like alone time with a financial advisor to be like, okay, can you spell that out for me? So women, I'm just encouraging you, if you meet with your financial advisor, with your spouse, and you don't feel comfortable asking a question because maybe the same like Sarah experience, you don't want to inconvenience anyone. You don't want them to think you don't know whatever. Schedule that time with a financial advisor on your own to ask your questions. Or if you don't have a financial advisor, you can always reach out to Sarah and she could hook you up.
It's important if your advisor is not making sure that you understand. When I'm meeting with a couple, I'm looking at both of you. And if you're not responding to me, I'm going to keep talking to you until you respond to me. So you've got to find the right one. There's plenty out there. But it's important that you feel confident because ask yourself this. If you're not the one handling the finances and something happened to your spouse and you were in charge the next day with all of the finances in the household, how would you feel? Would you feel ready to go? Would you feel confident? And that's what you need to ask yourself, because the reality is we live longer than men. Most of the time, we end up marrying someone who's older than us. That's going to be my case. So we're going to live a lot longer. We're going to be responsible for this at some point in time. It's better to take care of it now before, there's a lot of emotions involved and you're dealing with loss and bereavement. So it's
so true. I
yeah.
love that. So tell everyone a little bit about the free worksheet that you're going to give out for people who post in the comments their aha moment, because I think that is so useful in the sense of, wow, what do I need to know? Where are things?
Yeah. And even, right now we're preparing to be married and we're both in the financial industry too. And I'm really great at showing other people what to do, but we're having to do this ourselves because now it's combining stuff. So I have a checklist. It's called a life folio, and it's a checklist of all the important financial documents and other legal documents that you need. And it's all one-stop shop. So you can write down where it's located, if it's in the filing cabinet or your safety deposit box. So it's a really nice tool to have. And it comes with a filing system too. A lot of people do electronic filing now.
Oh, that is awesome. I was just thinking like even writing in like the name of the file because we have lots of things like on the cloud and I wouldn't even know like what to like research or what to like put in the search box. So having your worksheet that this, the will or this whatever is called something, you'd have it all right there. What a useful tool. I love that.
Yeah, it's very helpful. And then what I was going to share is maybe a few tips. Some
Yeah,
tips.
please. We love tips. Let's do it.
Hard. Yeah, sometimes it's hard because everyone's at different levels. So I like to try to keep it simple, and I do a lot of different presentations, but I was trying to think of some tips that, could be really easy takeaways. I mean, obviously having a goal is important, but make sure that you are, one, not living beyond your means. I think now with like social media and, where everyone's seeing different celebrities, we live in this time of like always wanting to compete and keep up with the Joneses. But it's really important that you live below your means, because if you are constantly trying to keep up, you're never going to get to where you want to be. And once you get to retirement, if you don't have any money saved or enough money saved, you can't take a student loan out for your retirement. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You'll be, checkers at Walmart or something. So one of the tips is don't live above your means and pay yourself first. So what I mean by pay yourself first is when you get a paycheck, instead of it going to all your bills first, you need to make sure you're paying yourself first. This helps me so much if I have these systems already set up automatically where I get a paycheck and my money goes automatically to my retirement, to my savings, etc. So then whatever is left, I can spend or use towards my bills. That's the best way to do it. So pay yourself first means having money go into an emergency fund, having money go into a midterm savings plan, and then obviously money going into a long-term retirement plan. If you're doing that and you can still pay your bills with what's left over, then you're going to be just fine. But make sure that you're doing that first, because then it's just going to be a snowball from there.
Absolutely. And if anyone was listening and you're like, retirement account, what? Yeah. Talk with Sarah, because she can help you figure out and motivate you to be like why it is important, and that most of us are probably watching are closer to retirement and need to be thinking about these things.
Yeah. So, and a lot of us have, the last tip I'll share is take advantage of your free money. Okay. Free money sounds exciting, but
yeah,
some of us have employer plans like a 401k, 403b, things like that. If your employer offers you a match, they're matching contributions, really take advantage of that. I was flying home from a trip from Canada one year, and naturally I'm sitting next to this woman and we start talking and she asked me what I do. I told her what I did and she said, I wish I had somebody like you. I just found out I've been working for this company for 20 years and I thought I was contributing to my 401k and I wasn't.
What?
That,
oh my gosh. I just had goosebumps. Oh.
So terrible. I didn't know what to say to her. And that's our responsibility, is to look into that and make sure that we are electing it. It's not your employer's responsibility. So make sure that you're at least taking advantage of what you already have available to you, if you do have that available. So those are my 3 tips for today.
I love that. Those are so helpful. So for many of the women watching, you may be a stay-at-home mom and not working outside the home, or maybe have like a side job, but like all of this applies. Like check in with your husband, be like, hey, are we saving for retirement, or how much are we saving? Like what's the plan? Like start having these conversations. And Sarah, you talked about it, just like clarifying your goals, discussing it. And ladies, like let's start talking about this with our friends. It shouldn't just be an awkward conversation we're having with our husbands like every once in a while. We need to just, like, if we wonder why we're not paid as much as men, it's because we don't talk about it and make it a big deal. So let's start talking about it, living our life with purpose, and just like having that confidence and courage to take what's ours, right, earning it, and invest it. And it's a gift from the Lord to have, to be blessed with money. It is not a curse. And it's interesting to kind of go through your mind and be like, what do I think about money? When I think about money, what are some of the things that I grew up with? Like a thought that comes to mind is like the rich have too much. Like, what if the rich had just as much as they needed? Like all these negative thoughts. Like, Sarah, do you have any like thoughts that you've had or have heard from your clients that are just like really far off about money?
I hear different things. Like I've heard someone say like money is the root of all evil. And, I disagree. I think, over the years I've lived differently. We've lived, very below average. And then towards the end, I lived a really nice lifestyle based on my parents' hard work. So I've seen both sides and I know which side I'd prefer. But I also in the kind of career where it's based on my efforts. And so when I hear people talk about, the inequality of income, I'm in the line of work where it's based on my efforts. So I don't feel that so much, but I do work hard for my money. I also personally believe in leveraging, what you have. And God does provide what you need, and He usually provides more than what we need. And there's actually a Bible study on the Bible app about money. It's really interesting, and it was talking about if we give it away, we're then given back tenfold. Now that's hard to think of, right? And I think Tony Robbins talks about he gave away his last dollar when he had nothing, and then he was, living in abundance afterwards. So it's how we have to think of it as a positive tool, as a resource, and not so much as something that is negative, but it's how you treat it too, just like how we treat our bodies. So we have to respect money and we have to treat it the way that it is. And I think that comes from how we raise our kids and getting them to understand the value of a dollar and what that really means.
So true. It starts with us having this positive mindset and then teaching our kids so they can grow up and have more of a positive mindset. And it doesn't mean that we're telling them, hey, you need to get rich. It's just saying have respect about money. And for our daughters that we're raising up too, like you can grow up and be like, make money. It doesn't have to be evil. You don't have to be mean and conniving to get ahead. You can make money, or you could even choose to stay home, and that's okay too, because you're also investing in your husband with helping his career. So it just goes differently, but like still be involved in understanding money and being comfortable with the mindset of money.
Yeah, I'd like to touch on stay-at-home moms.
Yeah, please.
So there's money, and then there's value and worth and time. And so remember, as a stay-at-home mom, everything that you do is contributing to the household. You have value, you bring value, even if you're not bringing $1 to the bank account, but you're bringing value, and that is equivalent to $1 amount. Okay. So it costs about $250,000 to raise a child from birth to school. And so all of those things that are done in the household and organizing schedules and making lunches and, shuffling back and forth, that costs money. If something happened to you and your husband or wife were left, they are going to miss out tremendously, obviously, because you're gone, but all of the work that maybe they don't realize that you do, and they're going to have to hire someone to pick up the pace or maybe get a second job. So keep in mind that you bring a lot of value, and that does equate to $1 amount because we're numbers people, right? But also as a stay-at-home mom, because you may not have retirement accounts or traditional retirement accounts, don't be afraid to ask questions and make sure you fully understand everything that your husband or spouse does have in place.
Yeah.
Like make sure that you understand who the beneficiaries are. Make sure that you understand what happens if your spouse were to pass away, what happens then, And what is that going to look like for you? We're going through this right now in my relationship leading up to getting married. I'm like, okay, let's talk about these things. So
Yes.
it's important that you're asking these questions and that you understand. Now I'm kind of a control freak, so I want access to everything. But don't be afraid to ask these questions, because if something were to happen, God forbid, death, divorce, or disability, those three things, you've got to make sure that you know what your options are and, what is that going to look like for you?
Yes. Thank you so much for speaking to those stay-at-home moms, because I am still part one and don't have my own retirement account, but my husband and I have one together, and I have to ask those questions. I have to figure out where we're at and to feel secure. And we've had that conversation too. If I were to die before him, and I know this is an awkward conversation to have, but y'all, we do die. It's okay. Yeah. That he would have to hire someone to do everything. And so I just loved how you beautifully explained that. And as a stay-at-home mom, yeah, I don't necessarily make money, but I'm worth a lot in just my value. So thank you so much for speaking to that. And Sarah, thank you so much for your time today. And we just want to remind everyone that's watching, post in the comments like an aha moment, something that was like new and exciting, maybe even something that you'd heard before, but you were just reminded of. And then Sarah and I will send you those free worksheets to kind of help with your money mindset and planning out different things. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes. All right. Have a happy Thursday, everyone. Bye.
Bye.